Welcome to The Explainer. So, today we're going to dive into a topic that, whether we realize it or not, is eventually going to impact absolutely every single one of us. We are looking at the future of aging, the stark reality of caregiving right now, and a truly fascinating blueprint for empowering seniors through workforce development. Now, you know I love breaking down complex systemic issues, and today we're looking at some incredible data and initiatives directly from the Treasure Coast Caregiver Workforce Foundation. We're going to explore how solving a massive labor crisis isn't just about, filling open jobs, it's about fundamentally transforming the dignity and the safety of our aging population.
Right out of the gate, here is a stark reality. 1 in 3 seniors needs care. I really want you to stop and think about that for a second. Think about your own family, your neighbors, or honestly, your future self. We aren't just talking about some small niche demographic here. We are talking about a massive portion of our society. When a full third of our older population requires assistance with their daily lives, the infrastructure to support them needs to be absolutely rock solid. But, as we're about to see, that infrastructure is currently failing a massive stress test.
And here's the catch, and it's a terrifying one. That infrastructure is facing a severe deficit. We are looking at a staggering 70% staff shortage compared to just 30% available staff. Let that sink in. This isn't just some minor operational hiccup. When you only have 30% of the workforce required to meet the demand, the dignity, the safety, and the basic everyday well-being of that 1 in 3 seniors we just talked about is directly threatened.
So, the crucial takeaway so far is that we're looking at a system under immense pressure. Grounding this in a very localized reality, the source material brings us to Florida's Treasure Coast, where they explicitly describe the situation as a workforce at the breaking point. And that phrasing is vital. It tells us we aren't just approaching a crisis, we are already living inside it. The demand for compassionate care has completely outpaced the community's capacity to provide it. And the hard numbers driving this breaking point, they're staggering.
Over 151,000. That is the number of caregiver positions currently left entirely unfilled in the state of Florida alone. Just let that number wash over you. Over 151,000 vacant roles. These aren't just empty desks in a corporate office. These are 151,000 missed opportunities to give a senior their medication, help them with mobility, or just simply offer the human connection they desperately need.
And this shortage triggers a devastating domino effect. 72 hours. That is the average hospital discharge delay. Because there simply aren't enough caregivers in home care, assisted living, or skilled nursing facilities, seniors who are completely medically cleared to leave the hospital are stuck there for an average of 3 extra days. This creates massive system-wide gridlock.
But listen, the problem isn't just bringing new people in. It's actually keeping them. We are seeing an exhausting 46% annual caregiver turnover rate. Almost half of the workforce is walking out the door every single year. And why? Because that 30% of staff who actually are working are trying to carry the load of the missing 70%. It leads to profound burnout. This really highlights the immense human cost of the shortage, not just on the seniors, but on the exhausted caregivers themselves.
Now, if all of that wasn't urgent enough, the demand is only surging. We're looking at a 38% expected increase in dementia care demand by the year 2030. Dementia care requires highly specialized, incredibly patient, dedicated caregivers. If we are currently at a breaking point with a 70% staffing deficit, a 38% surge in demand for the most intensive form of care over the next few years means we need a dramatic, purposeful intervention right now. Okay, take a breath. That's the crisis. Now, let's pivot sharply to the solution. The Treasure Coast Caregiver Workforce Foundation, or TCCWF, steps in right here with a philosophy they call training with a purpose. They aren't just trying to patch a leaky bucket, They are actively trying to build an entirely new, sustainable pipeline of caregivers. Let's break down exactly how their purposeful intervention works. So, how do you actually fix a systemic workforce crisis like this? Well, you build a continuous pipeline. TCWF attacks this through a comprehensive 4-step career pathway. Recruit, train, mentor, and empower. They find compassionate individuals, prep them with real skills, support them through those really difficult early stages of their career with active mentoring, and ultimately empower them to uplift the entire community. It's not just some quick weekend class. It is a full-on career pathway.
So what does that training actually look like on the ground? The foundation, guided by real, nurse-led leadership, provides highly affordable workforce development that actively removes the financial and logistical barriers to entering healthcare. But they don't just stop at textbooks, right? They provide hands-on mentoring and certification prep for real-world caregiving scenarios.
They make absolutely sure that when a caregiver steps into a senior's home or a facility, they are deeply prepared and completely confident.
And this is where the magic really happens. How this connects back to the broader community. TCWF builds crucial community partnerships. They directly connect assisted living facilities, skilled nursing facilities, and home care agencies with this brand new pool of dependable staff. But beyond just immediate job placement, this drives incredible workforce equity. By removing barriers to training, they are empowering underserved populations with meaningful, stable employment. And that directly drives economic mobility across the entire region.
When you zoom out and put all of these pieces together, the accessible training, the mentoring, those deep community partnerships, you get a massive macro-level societal impact. You are quite literally redefining how communities respond to aging. This isn't just a temporary band-aid for a labor shortage. It's a bold, forward-looking vision for the future of caregiving, where innovation and nurse-led pipelines create a truly resilient healthcare infrastructure.
The absolute genius of this approach is its dual impact. On one hand, we create empowered caregivers, people who are respected, highly trained, and financially stable. And that directly results in empowered seniors, older adults who are receiving top-tier quality care with dignity. You literally cannot have the empowered senior without the empowered caregiver. It is a perfectly symbiotic relationship.
Ultimately, the systemic vision we've been uncovering here creates a totally positive domino effect. Think about it. Every senior gains access to compassionate care. Families get to navigate the incredibly difficult transitions of aging with way better support and way less anxiety. Local healthcare providers finally have the dependable workforce solutions they've been begging for. And, crucially, workforce equity and economic mobility improve throughout underserved neighborhoods. It transforms the whole shebang.
Which brings us to the beating heart of this entire initiative. Quote, every senior deserves access to quality, compassionate care. It's such a simple sentence, right? But actually executing it requires an army of dedicated, trained, and supported professionals. It requires us to look at that 70% staffing shortage we saw earlier and decide right now that we are going to actively build the workforce required to close that gap.
So as we wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with one final, pretty provocative thought. The investments we make in the caregiver workforce today, those are the exact same investments that will dictate the quality of our own lives tomorrow. When your time comes, who will be there to care for you? By supporting and empowering caregivers right now, we ensure that the answer to that question is someone trained, compassionate, and ready. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive.